YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and I got some linebacker rankings for the 2019 NFL Draft for you guys today. And after this, all we have left is the corners and the safeties. Going to do two separate videos for those guys, and hopefully tomorrow on the same day, both those videos. And we have a possible live stream planned for Saturday afternoon. I'll try to keep you guys updated on that. If you want to go to our Twitter, always keep you updated. Link in the description for that. Final mock drafts to come out. And plenty more to get to before the draft starts. And then during the draft, we'll be live. April 25th is round one. We're going to start a little early, and then throughout the draft live here on YouTube, we're going to be predicting each pick, reacting to the picks, any trades, and then giving our analysis. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully you can join us. There's our subscriber goal. It's at 20K. Support's been great. We just passed 16K. There's our Twitter in the bottom right. Click that like button, notification button. That'll be big time as well. But on to the linebackers, only two first-round grades and some other sleepers that I really, really like. One of my favorite guys in the draft, one of my draft crushes, I guess I can say, is in this linebacker group. We'll get to him. And there's a drop-off at some point too, but a gap of skill. So we'll get to that. First, pretty obvious, Devin White from LSU, first-round grade on him. I think he ends up going, he's definitely going to go top 10. There's a lot of top 5 talk right now, 6 foot, 237. I knew he was athletic. I did not expect him to be that, test that well at the combine, being the 4.4 speed. That's just crazy for his size and, how he hits. The big upside for him is, he's pretty instinctive. He'll make some big-time plays in the backfield, but mainly it's his coverage skills. He's very good at covering. He doesn't get enough credit for that, and I think that's mainly why the teams, in the NFL are higher on him. The media kind of makes it seem like it's because he's in the backfield just making big plays, big hits, and that's part of it for sure. If there was a negative, it would be, sometimes he's like too aggressive. Sometimes he's moving too fast and he'll kind of whiff on tackles in the backfield, but easily can be fixed. Like sometimes it just feels like he just needs to just slow down a little bit. Sometimes he's moving too fast, too aggressive, and I think it's a simple fix. So we'll see, but he has had some whiff tackles, but a lot of upside for him, crazy athlete, and the linebacker positions really isn't valued that much anymore. But it's because, it's a passing league. For them to be valued, they need to be able to cover or get after the quarterback or both. And I think Devin White can do both. There's a couple guys in this draft class I like because I think they can do both. We'll move on to number 2 now. Pretty obvious who it is. It's Devin Bush. And I don't really think he's that far off of Devin White. Similar in terms of athleticism, how they play. They're flying to the ball. They both can cover. Devin White just does everything a little better, and Devin White's a little bigger too. 5'11", 234 for Devin Bush, not a problem for me, but high motor guy as well. It's almost the same traits. It really is, and he's moving up my board a little bit over the last month or two. Definitely, top 15 player, and we'll see where he goes though. He's got a pretty big range. He can go up to where the Bengals pick, or he can go down to 20 where the Steelers pick. So pretty big range in terms of a first-round guy, but he's definitely going to go day one. Going to be interesting to see where. Now we're on to the non-first-round grade guys, and now we're on to maybe I'm going to do a video where I have my guys. I do it every year, and this might be my guy. It's going to be a battle between some other guys. I haven't really decided yet, but I'm a big fan of Jermaine Pratt. He's my number 3 linebacker. I have an early second-round grade on him, though, but I'm pretty confident I'm higher on him than anybody else. I don't really look too much into other people's rankings and whatever, but 6'2", 220, former free safety. He played free safety. They switched him to linebacker because he's got some pretty good size. He knows how to cover, and it shows even at the linebacker position, and it probably has to do with the experience at safety. He's a tackling machine. He flies around the ball. He's in the backfield, sideline to sideline. He has the speed. He also brings pressure to the quarterback. Every time he blitzes, he's very quick, has pretty good moves. He can play any linebacker position. In 3-4, 4-3, can play any linebacker position. If there is a negative, it's shedding blocks. Sometimes when there's somebody that's good at blocking and they stick with him, it's hard for him to get off. And it makes sense though, because he was just a free safety a couple years ago, so you expect that. So with a little bit of time, he can fix that, and everything else is there. Tremendous upside for Jermaine Pratt, and I like him. When you watch him on film, he's all over the place, high motor guy, pretty instinctive. and just from switching free safety to linebacker, and he's lined up inside, outside, again, rush the passer. There's just a lot to like about him, but maybe has a little bit to go, a year or two to go to get to that potential because he's just moving from free safety. But I like him a lot. I almost wanted to slide him in a first-round grade because I see so much upside, but he's not as polished as the first-round guy, so I couldn't quite do it. But I like Pratt a lot. Moving on, the next guy or so might be better than Pratt day one. Just because Pratt's still kind of in that transition, but he's going to be very good. And number 4 is Mac Wilson from Alabama, very close with Jermaine Pratt because Mac Wilson's very good linebacker, has been for Alabama. He could play outside in a 4-3, most likely inside a 3-4. Maybe a poor man's Rashaan Evans from last year, another Alabama guy, 6'1", 240. Expect him to be a little more athletic, wasn't slow. I think it was the high 4.6s. Some people got him at 4.7s. I mean, that's still moving for a big guy, but you expect him a little more athletic, but pretty good tape. His last game or two, I didn't, in the playoffs, wasn't as good as the rest of the games. So, but still solid linebacker. I think he goes second round. He's my number 4 guy. And number 5 is Tavon Coney from Notre Dame, a high motor guy. Not the most athletic guy, but I think he did run in the 4.7s as well, so not bad for his size. He's pretty built, wide guy. But you really seen him do it all. He can slide inside, slide outside. 2 years ago, you didn't see him line up on the line at times. So he can do a lot of it, switching positions over the year. Felt pretty comfortable at the linebacker position, and he can do multiple things. He can cover. I've seen him cover, running backs on slip screens all the times when they, the wheel routes down the sideline. I've seen him cover that. When he's asked to blitz, he's not the greatest blitzer, but he does a solid job there. So, and he doesn't miss many tackles. You're not going to catch Tavon Coney missing really any tackles. So there's a lot to like about Coney. I guess the other guys have a little more upside, a little more athleticism to him, but Coney's pretty athletic for his size. So I like him at 5. I think he's somewhat underrated because I haven't really heard much about him being in other people's top 5s, but he's got to be close. My grade's like late second round. He'll probably end up going 3rd though. Next 5, I got Blake Cashman at 6 from Minnesota. Very instinctive linebacker. You catch him making big plays in the backfield all the time. So he's got some upside there too. Very good combine from him. Number 7, another Notre Dame linebacker, Drew Tranquill. And now Drew Tranquill probably would be, based off his skill, another safety turned linebacker too. He would be battling Jermaine Pratt for my number 3 linebacker really, but it seems like he gets hurt here and there, but he always plays with the injury. But it's still a little concerning. He used to play safety, tore his ACL playing safety, came back, put some size on, and switched to linebacker. And he was able to stay healthy for a little bit. And then there's an ankle injury, another knee injury here and there. Nothing major. He plays through it, shows toughness. But I'm a little worried in the NFL is it's going to keep coming back. So I had to move him down. But he's got everything you want in today's NFL linebacker. He can cover, another former safety. He's very good at covering, tackling, everything, getting in the backfield if you need him to, if you're going to send him on a blitz. You see him covering receivers like towards the sideline even. Very impressive. If he stays healthy, he's much better than number 7 here on the linebacker list. And after him, I think there's a little bit of a gap there. Bobby Okereke from Stanford, he would be 8. Pretty athletic, ran the high 4.5s, I believe. Pretty athletic. It almost feels like he would fit better at maybe a 4-3 outside linebacker, played more of the inside linebacker. I think he can stick to that. He actually had a good game against Notre Dame, constantly in the backfield making plays. It was almost like he put that defense on his back in that game and maybe some other games. Not a whole bunch of talent on that defense this year. So very impressive guy, flies around the field, pretty athletic. Number 9, again, I think there's another gap after that. Number 9 is Trey Lamar. And Trey Lamar is that old school linebacker. He's not going to miss, he's not really going to miss tackles. If he's got the opportunity to make the tackle, he's probably not going to miss it. That's how he's been. He's been like that playing against ACC competition. Pretty impressive. So very good run stopper. Doesn't wow in coverage, doesn't wow blitzing or anything, just not the most athletic guy. I think he ran in the 4.9s at his pro day, so that's not necessarily good, but if you need help stopping the run, you're going to get a really, really good one here in Trey Lamar, so I still got to keep him in the top 10. David Long from West Virginia, what is this guy going to be? Is he going to be a 3-4 inside? Is he going to be a 4-3 outside? Could be either. A high motor guy. It's similar to the Devin White we talked about. High motor guy, pretty instinctive, not as instinctive or as talented as Devin White, obviously. He finds himself in the backfield flying the ball, but sometimes he gets a little too over-aggressive, and he'll slide and miss right past the ball carrier, whoever has the ball. So can cover, too. It's a weird West Virginia defense, too. He kind of was asked to do a lot there, so it could have more upside in the NFL. Some of those Big 12 defenses, a little strange, and some of these guys don't get perform where they should. So David Long's got some upside. I think he's in the mid-rounds. The next 5, Ben Burke-Kirven at 11. In terms of production, you'd think he'd be much higher than 11, much better grade than number 11 here. But definitely undersized. Teams worried about him taking on blocks, and I think he was in the perfect system, unlike some of these other guys. I think he was in the perfect role where it made him stand out. But, he really did everything. Can cover, can get after the quarterback. I think that was his best thing. The best bonus as a linebacker was him, getting some pressure to the quarterback. Sneaky defense, though, so will he be able to do it in the NFL? TJ Edwards at number 12, classic Wisconsin linebacker. Guys that really aren't supposed to be that good because, he's not the biggest guy and he's not super athletic. But he gets the job done pretty high level, too. Pretty instinctive. Very good at stopping the run. Not super flashy, though. So he's down at 12. Terrell Hanks from New Mexico State at 13. Pretty disappointing his combine. Ran a 4.99, I believe it was. Not good. He looks much faster than that, quicker than that on the field. Pretty explosive. Fills the holes on run plays, runs up and stops the plays there. Just really that speed is knocking him down because a guy like Trey Lamar, he needs to be more athletic and faster, but he doesn't really need to be a style of play. Guys like this, expect to be a little quicker. And then Jailani Tavai from Hawaii, he's getting a lot of talk lately. Apparently teams are high on him. I'm not quite as high. High motor guy, real big linebacker. I think he's about 6'4". High motor guy, flying around sideline to sideline, can stop runs up into gaps, but did have an injury and did have an off-the-field concern in the past, so, I'm not really putting him any higher than this. Voshan Joseph is 15. Another guy I'm not as high on as everyone else. People are really, really hyping up Voshan Joseph from Florida. He's flashy at times, but then there's just times where, I'm just not a big fan of his tape. So you look at the Michigan game, the last game of the year, Florida had a heck of a bowl game, but he did not have a good game. It was bad, honestly, and I don't know if he was just worried about not getting hurt, worried about the draft, because there was times where, he just didn't really want to be involved in the play. You see him giving up on big plays that are going down the side. I think the first few plays of the games, a couple of them were on him, and what led to an early touchdown. Not really good at reading where the ball's at. He'll get fooled sometimes. He'll think the ball's in one person's hands. So any play action, anything, any kind of trickery, he'll get fooled on that. And again, high motor. I think he does a good job right up the middle, but he's not built to be a middle linebacker. It's almost like, his head, the way he plays is more like a middle linebacker, but his body is more of a 4-3 outside linebacker. So we'll see where they put him. I have my concerns, but he does have a good amount of upside. And then on to the rest of my rankings. This link will be in the description. A lot of guys are close. Hard to split up with the rest of these guys. Josiah Tawa-Aifa from Texas San Antonio. A lot to like about him. High motor guy flying around the field. Really had to carry that defense. A couple of Hawaiian guys. Sion Taki from BYU. I almost put this guy with the edge rushers because being an outside linebacker, he's coming off the edge a lot, not just on pass plays, but on run plays and making big-time plays back there. It almost looks to me like a pass rusher, but he definitely could be. I think most likely he'll be a 4-3 outside linebacker, so we'll stick him here. But, wild card to be a pass rusher, maybe a 3-4 outside linebacker. Very interesting. Somewhat similar to some of the guys we were talking about, like the guys at the top. And, those guys at the top and some of the other, like David Long, that's what I was thinking of. Those guys, their weaknesses, sometimes they get over aggressive, they fly and they kind of whiff a little bit. Same thing with Taki. He'll be high motor, sniffing out the play, and he'll be going too fast and right past the guy. Did have a significant amount of missed tackles, but did have some big ones in the backfield that were very impressive. So he has some upside. Gary Johnson at 18. I moved him up a little bit because the combine is crazy testing. But then I kind of calm him down, move him back down a little bit because that doesn't really show up on tape. It seems like every time he's making a tackle, it's kind of like he's reaching. Like, he's got to go all out and reach for it. He doesn't really put himself in a position to make the best tackle. I mean, he can play, but there's just not a ton I love there, so he's at 18. But the athletic guys always have a ton of upside at this position. Amik Egbule from Houston, another guy I'm starting to like a little more. I think he played in multiple different spots in linebacker, high motor, pretty good stop in the run. Cameron Smith from USC, I liked him better a year ago. Maybe from his style of play, maybe a little undersized, somewhat similar to TJ Edwards maybe. Obviously, I like Edwards a little better. Cody Barton from Utah is getting a lot of hype lately. Pretty good size and athletic. Combining that, pretty impressive. But he's down at 21 for me. I think other people are higher. I just like these other linebackers better. He's not super flashy, just the measurables and testing, I guess, makes it a little more flashy. Another very good tester here is Cole Holcomb. He's a 4.4 guy with some upside. He's moved up my board big time because you go back and watch and see if it, is kind of on the tape. I didn't think 4.4s, but it's there. He flies around. He'll force a fumble or two a year. Make a significant amount of tackles. A guy that's really dropped on my board, I think a lot of people's boards, Dakota Allen, 23 here on this my linebacker rankings from Texas Tech. But he does have some upside. I want to like him more. He looked more athletic on tape than he did at the combine. Very poor performance at the combine, running in the 4.77, and then his pro day he ran a 4.81. So I don't know what that's about. He looks faster on film, but it's not a good look. I did think he put on some size, so maybe that's, some people can put on size and it doesn't really affect them. We've seen plenty of guys in this draft, very impressive, and some guys just can't really do it, handle it. They got to go back to play at their weight, their play weight, really is what it is. But why he has a bunch of upside, you've seen him cover, you've seen him kind of be rangy, not super good stop and run, but can. But going back to a weird Big 12 defense, Texas Tech's been one of the worst Power 5 defenses over the years. And most of the time, Texas Tech play with two linebackers. And they'll play with an extra DB. Makes sense because Big 12 teams throw all over the place. But a lot of the time, they would have that other linebacker opposite of Allen, and he would almost play an edge spot. So a lot of the time, Allen it almost looked like he was the lone linebacker, and he had so much space where he had to control, and I thought he did a pretty good job at times. So I think maybe in the NFL, it might be a little easier on him, but the testing, he needs to be a little more athletic for this. And, there's a chance he might not get drafted. So I think some people, even though I'm pretty low on him right now after all that, I think other people are lower. Joe Giles-Harris from Duke, tackling machine, run stopper. That's about it, though. Had an MCL injury last year, and he's not athletic. He needs to be more athletic. So he drops a little bit, but, a very good tackler, solid in the run game. Deshaun Davis, another tackling machine, very good at stopping the run. And then there's the rest of my rankings. Any you want to talk about? Drew Lewis, another 4.4 guy, super athletic. Could put on some size, though. And Gilbert III from Akron, another 4.4 guy. So we got some flashy guys here. So some upside there, not super good tape. Chase Hansen had a pass injury that I'm a little concerned about. They have Van Ginkel listed as edge. I like him at linebacker. So, yeah, I have 41 guys ranked here. So, let me know what you guys' thoughts are. I think it really drops off. Like once you get down here, we're seeing a lot of undrafted guys. I think down here, even I think Dakota Allen, unfortunately, could possibly go undrafted. But yeah, there's some guys, obviously two really guys at the top, and I really like this group down here. And then there's some concerns with these guys, but some upside. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the linebackers. Again, we just got corners, safeties to do. Then we're gonna be here. Have our final streams, final mock drafts, all of that, and then live during the NFL draft. So hopefully you can join us for that. It'd be a lot of fun. But that's going to do it. Thanks, everyone, for the support. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.